Gentlemen, and welcome to the Ray Tampa podcast. Our podcast offers bold commentary on various subject matters with a laser-like focus on the truth. My name is Ray Tampa, and I'm the host of the Ray Tampa podcast. We have in our studio Mr. Russell Cato, a retired educator with more than 42 years of experience working in the Pinellas County schools. Our other podcast host, Mr. Jamie Wilson III, is unavailable today. So we invited Mr. Shedrick Baker
Yes,
to join us in Jamie's absence.
thank you.
Mr. Baker has his own podcast that's called the Progressive Purple Movement. They do a hell of a job on various subject matters also. Our guest today is Mr. Kevin Batdorf, a longtime community activist and business owner. Mr. Batdorf decided to put his community activism on another level and seek to send Mayor Ken Welch home for good. Mr. Batdorf, welcome to the Ray Tampa podcast.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here, and I really appreciate you guys inviting me to do this.
All right. Well, Mr. Batdorf, what I would like to do is ask you to share a little information about yourself, such as where were you born, raised, and educated?
Well, it's pretty easy. I was born right here in St. Petersburg,
Okay.
raised right here in St. Petersburg, and I graduated high school right here in St. Petersburg from Gibbs High School.
Hey, Gibbs High School. Say what? Gibbs High School?
Gibbs High School.
Yes, I,
Gibbs High School? Gibbs High School? We don't even want to talk to you. Yeah, you did work there.
Four aces.
Right. Well, once again, welcome to the Ray Tampa podcast. Mr. Batdorf, at what point did you make the decision to run for mayor?
Well, there was a lot of talk about who should run for mayor, and for 2 years leading up to my decision, I kept hearing people saying, "I'm going to run for mayor. Anybody's better. A fifth grader could be better than Mayor Welch." So, I'm looking at the field that's out there, and I interviewed with some of the other candidates before I made my decision, and realized that if we want this city to move in the right direction, and don't get me wrong, this city is awesome. I love it. I've lived here my whole life, and I wouldn't live anywhere else. But the leadership is just so bad right now. We need a change, and I believe I'm up for the task.
Okay, great. And did you ever have an opportunity to meet with and discuss your concerns with Mayor Welch?
So that's part of the reason I decided to run. I did have 2 meetings with the mayor. The first one was after Hurricane Idalia, when I took my board of directors to meet with the mayor and his staff and made suggestions. That meeting actually went very well, but I realized sitting there that the mayor wasn't running the city. His staff was running the city. And he was unaware of the deficiencies within the administration. For instance, he didn't know that we didn't have high-rise fire equipment to put out a fire in case there's a flood. In Shore Acres, which I'll talk a lot about Shore Acres because that's where I led the community, but that's not my biggest strength. But in Shore Acres, we had 4 houses burned because fire trucks couldn't get to them. So we brought that forward, and guess what? We now have 3 new fire trucks. That's because of us. Those are high-rise fire trucks that can rescue people and actually put out fires. We also let him know that the drains across the city aren't being cleaned out in a timely manner. We learned at that meeting that the system for cleaning drains, by the way, there were only 2 crews citywide. They cleaned out the drainage system throughout the city. We learned that their record keeping was on a simple notepad. They wrote down where they went on that particular day, turned in that piece of note paper, and it wasn't kept on record anywhere. There were no digital records. There was nothing that we could look at. So after that meeting, of course, we got the 3 fire trucks, and then we got 4 additional crews. Now the crew comes with that giant Vector truck, that vacuum truck that goes around. So now we have 6 of those cleaning out the drainage system. Still not enough, but that was the first meeting. The second meeting didn't go as well because he reluctantly met with us after I called him a liar in social media. He had made some statements about where the services were being provided, and I brought the receipts and showed that he was not telling the truth. When we get to this meeting, sitting there, the mayor and his top administrators, we realized that he wasn't telling the truth because he was told something other than the truth to spit out to the public. He had no idea what was happening. It was at that moment who I realized who was actually running the city, and it's not Mayor Welch.
Well, I say to you, all interesting information, and thanks for sharing it with us. Thanks. I'm going to, at this point, ask my co-hosts if they want to ask a question at this time. Either of you?
Yeah.
Okay, Russ.
I kind of looked into your background and what you were saying that you wanted to run for mayor. But I'm going to just say some words, and I want you to explain it to the listening community. One of the things I picked up was something called career politician. You don't care for that. Could you explain that to the listening audience?
Well, it's interesting. We have 3 career politicians that are running and 2 career bureaucrats who are running. I'm none of that. So a career politician is someone who's made this their livelihood. They don't go out, they don't create a business, they don't create jobs other than city or government jobs, which have to be created anyway to run the government that you're running. Career politicians are in office mostly because of the backers that support them. One of the career politicians that's running got a $50,000 donation from Seminole Gaming. Are we going to build a casino? I don't know. The mayor has contributions from developers. Interesting. People who want to develop what? Tropicana Field? Yeah. I'm not accepting those types of donations. I'm running a grassroots campaign. The highest donation I'll accept is the $1,000 that the government sets a limit on for a campaign. I don't have a PAC, don't want a PAC. I want people to vote for me because they think I'm going to be the right person for the job.
Okay.
All right. Russ, you okay?
Yeah, there's some more, but I want him to take the, I got some more I got to ask you.
Okay.
I looked at your background as well, and I looked at some of the things. I was at the actual mayoral debate at the Obama Library, and in your opinion, how did you think that went?
People know me as a community leader. They don't know my background in business, which, I'm a community leader for 3 years. I'm a businessman for 50.
Right.
And I'm only 64. So yeah, I started selling newspapers when I was 12 years old.
Saw that.
The Evening Independent. So
man.
The people who are here a long time know what that is.
Yeah.
And I sold it in front of the Winn-Dixie that was at 16th Street and 6th Avenue, which is now the Christmas toy shop. So a very tiny store. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Well, I was just saying, how did you feel
how the
debate go for it?
The questions were interesting and kind of leaned towards the mayor, I think. I answered the questions to the best of my ability. I did get booed at one point, which was kind of fun because there was a question about ice. And I answered the question the way I actually believe is that our police department has to do their job as they're told to do.
Right.
So if you trust the chief of police, then you trust in his judgment in signing this agreement. I didn't say it that way, but that's what I meant. And because I got booed, everyone else who had pretty much the same answer said it a little differently, so they didn't get booed.
Yeah, they said the tone. They said the tone.
Okay. Well, my next question is this one. Now that you have participated in several debates, forums, what have you, what do you think are the three most pressing issues in St. Petersburg?
Well, I'm going to answer that question, but I'm going to say something else first.
Okay.
Our media is terrible. They don't fact check other candidates' statements. There were a lot of whoppers told, and they're just not going out and correcting the misinformation that's out there. But the three main concerns for people right now, I believe people want the roads fixed. They want the infrastructure fixed, but infrastructure is not sexy. So they don't really know what they're asking for. They just don't want the streets to flood anymore. They don't want potholes everywhere. Why is US 19 nice and smooth all the time? It's because the state takes care of the damn road. City doesn't.
Mhm.
So they want that fixed. They want some type of connectivity, community to community, and we don't have that. Our road system and sidewalk system is fractured. It just doesn't connect. I have a plan to take the Pinellas Trail, which is connected now throughout St. Pete in kind of a rounded shape. I want to expand branches off of that trail so that you can connect and then get to the trail and then travel all the way around the city anywhere you want to go by bike or walk. I think that's important. I threw kind of a silly idea that it's not so silly, really, if you think about it, because we can do anything we put our minds to. What if we had a tram that followed the Pinellas Trail and followed it all the way around? But it's like an autonomous electric train.
Mhm.
So people could get on at any point and just travel from West St. Pete to South St. Pete, downtown, all the way out to Gandy, and even take it up to Pinellas County as the trail goes. It's a thought. It's a transportation solution, but it's not the solution.
Right.
And the third thing, people were talking about Tropicana Field, right? Now, Mayor calls it the historic gas plant area. He coined that phrase. We were all kids when that was there.
That's
yeah.
right.
I don't know what's historic about those living conditions for the people who lived in that area. Because I lived a few blocks away. I didn't live there, but within 8 blocks. I went to the Police Athletic League on Fifth Avenue with kids that went to Jordan Park.
Right.
So, we all hung out together. It was not a pleasant place, and a parking lot is improvement. Now, where did those people go that were living there? How did we treat them? I don't know. I was a little kid, and not a little kid, but I was 17 when that happened. I do know that the mayor's family benefited from some of those deals. So I'm trying to figure out what promises were made that weren't kept. Because if you could actually put those down in writing, we could probably keep those promises. We just don't know what the promises were.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Now I want you to summarize 1, 2, 3. I'm going to mention that, okay, Tropicana Field is a pressing issue, correct?
Mhm.
Infrastructure is a pressing issue, correct?
Yes.
What was the first one you said?
Transportation.
Transportation.
Well, yeah.
Now, I want you to take those 3 issues and tell us what strategies you would deploy to address those issues.
Well, number one issue is infrastructure. And if people don't understand that, they need to get on board because our infrastructure is failing. At the debate the other night, I mentioned May 8th, 1979. That's the day St. Petersburg flooded. That was a year before the Skyway came down. But I was a senior at Gibbs High School. I actually had an old beat up car that I bought for $100. It made it down to the Plaza movie theater at First and 31st and
Right.
because it was underwater. Water was coming over the hood. I'm like, I can make it. No, I couldn't make it. A woman and her child were sucked down the drain at 22nd Avenue and Tyrone Boulevard. So when I finally got home, which the city buses had their engines up high, they were able to submarine through. They dropped me off at 49th Street because that's the only road that didn't flood. I was living over by Northwest Youth Center. I had to walk in waist deep water for a mile to get my brother out of Tyrone Junior High or middle school at the time.
Wow.
Because of the woman and her child that drowned right in front of school. So they weren't letting kids out. And I had to carry his bike over my head a mile back as we trudged through the water just to get home. After that event, the city took measures to fix the drainage system. That event occurred because the city had not been maintaining the drainage systems in St. Pete. So heavy rains caused that to happen. City fixed it and then stopped maintaining again. So here we are back in 1979. That's what we're living in today because the system hasn't been maintained properly. Now we have to get back to figuring out a way to fix it. My solution for that is city doesn't have a map of where all the pipes are. They don't know what size pipe is here or what size pipe is there. They allowed developers over time to put in systems that made sense for that specific development, not for the infrastructure in general.
So there's no cohesiveness, is what you're saying?
There is no cohesiveness. The first thing I want to do is create a map of every pipe that exists for drainage and sewer. Then we identify the ones that are too small. Those are the first ones we fix. We don't go and say, well, you're flooding over here a lot, so let's try to figure out a plan to fix your flooding. No. The plan is, and I'm not an engineer, don't get me wrong. The plan is, let's make sure the pipes are adequate for the flow that's coming. We also need to clear out all the ditches that we have throughout, not just the city, but in Lellman and in the county. The county actually got a grant to help do that. I think it's $37 million. City, I don't think the city applied for that.
I read that.
How long ago they got that grant?
Recently.
It was recently. Yeah, I saw that.
And I'm like, well, there's money. And that's one of the things I'm going to do. I'm going to have a grant department looking everywhere and anywhere through government entities, private entities. I don't care where the money comes from. Let's get it here. That's what needs to be done with the infrastructure. And it's not being done. The gas plant area, do you want to talk about that?
Well, you brought it up as an issue.
So first, before you answer the gas plant, do you think this should be parceled out or should one developer take over that whole area? What are your thoughts there?
So here's what the general public doesn't know. The appraised value of that property leveled out right now. So you take Tropicana Field off of it and just level. That's pretty much all there is because everything else is parking lot. The value of that property at that point would be $390 million. Now we're getting these 200 and some $million from the mayor's office. I'm like, where does this number come from? I actually looked at the appraisal that was done this year. There were two appraisals. One came in at 380, one came in at 390. That part of St. Petersburg is designed to generate downtown type buildings and construction. So high rises, jobs. If it makes more sense on the free market to parcel it out, I think if we parceled it out and let developments come in for their specific needs, I believe we could generate, in my opinion, up to $1.2 billion for that property. We need to leverage that property.
Yes.
We don't need to force low income housing into a place that can create jobs so that people can actually afford rent. We need Moffett back. They're willing to come. We need them. We need those high paying jobs. We need other high paying jobs. People talk about a convention center. Well, if it's going to make a lot of money and it's privately run, yeah, why not? City shouldn't have to pay for that. That's commercial enterprise.
Okay.
Yeah, let me say something to that. And when I piggyback on what you said, I noticed in your article you said something about smart funding. Explain that.
Smart development.
Oh yeah, explain that to the audience
So,
because it takes money to do what you.
well, smart development
Okay.
is going to require developers to provide an impact study to the city when they file for a permit. Now, right now, developers have to pay $1,000 per bathroom. Where'd that number come from? That seems like a pull from air number. How do we know what that building, what the impact is going to be on our actual infrastructure?
Exactly.
So the development has to create their own infrastructure. City's not going to do it. So that has to be in the plan. Plus they have to show an impact study. And I haven't figured out the radius, but it's got to show what it's going to do to the infrastructure, not just sewers, but roads, drainage. Because when you cover up something, that water's got to go somewhere. That's going to be the impact fee. Whatever the actual impact to the infrastructure within a certain radius, that's going to be the impact fee. Now that will slow down development because developers may not want to pay that fee. That's okay. We need to fix our infrastructure.
Let me stop you for one thing because I know that time. My concern is what part taxpayers will be held for in this spending. That's my concern. That how much do we have to pay as a taxpayer?
So the city is collecting money. If you may have noticed that your water bill in the last 10 years went from $80 a month to $210 a month. At least mine did. So they've been collecting that money. They have hundreds of millions of dollars ready to go. They want to ask the city residents to vote on a $600 million GO bond, general obligation, to help pay for quickening that process up by 5 years. It doesn't make sense to me. You're going to ask people to pay more taxes at a time when the governor's coming in and say, hey, on homestead properties, we want to get rid of your taxes. You think people are going to say, well, over here, I'm going to get rid of my taxes. Over here, I'm going to pay more taxes. It just doesn't make sense. They haven't put a plan out to what that 600 million is going to pay for. So I don't believe in increasing money by bonds and that type of thing. I'm going to look for grants. I'm going to look everywhere else before we start spending our own money. But we do have money to start the work.
So when they did that, when they did all the planning, we have all kind of projects going on all over St. Pete, over where Florida Power is at. We got one over by Lake Macquarie.
Yep.
All of these places, it's like 2,600 going up at over 2,000 apartments going up at Southside Shopping Center by Coke-MT, right? So with all of that coming into that neighborhood, number one thing I would ask, first off, we already know South St. Pete is in a food desert, right? When I say, we got grocery stores, but we got grocery stores that are gouging the crap out of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're standing. I'm not going to say any names for sake of, but you know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So now as mayor, what would you do to bring some affordable groceries into the area? And then where are we going to put them at since you're putting up all these apartments?
So, that's a great question. Technically, I live in a food desert because I'm 3 miles away from the nearest grocery store. I don't consider myself living near or in a food desert because I can get there, right? What is the real cause for grocery stores not being open in certain neighborhoods? Crime. It's crime. It's because they,
Before that even happened, let's
Yeah.
go back. We had a cash and carry off of 34th Street. That is not the prime rating area. That's over by Broadway.
Right.
We had another Winn-Dixie over on South Side off of what was it? Cash and carry was there. Winn-Dixie was down the street on
62nd Avenue.
These have been there forever by Bay Point. We used to go in there and buy groceries and all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, these guys start getting plucked out. Now, if you're talking about a 22nd on the corridor, I understood Sweet Bay couldn't do it. Walmart couldn't do it. Nobody could do that neighborhood. I understand. But the problem is that's a transient neighborhood. There's not homeowners there. Those people are paying rent, so they don't take pride in their area, and it's going to bring in a certain element. But when we think about these places and these predominant, like Maximo Plaza, before they started doing all that, that was an area we used to shop in, and it had no more crime than any other place. I mean, Tyrone Mall had probably about the same amount of incidents that Maximo had. So at this point, I'm saying these grocery stores, these giant grocery store chains, all of a sudden just folded up and disappeared, and we never got an answer. Nobody came in to take over. All these is weird. I'm sorry. As far as what's in there, I don't know those brands.
that's a good point.
But I can answer your question there. It's the perception. That's where it is. The perception builds up. And if you got that perception, yeah.
I did a proposal to Detweilers over in Bradenton. I sent it to their top brass.
You're right.
Nice proposal. Told them about the area that we could actually come over. We need your store over here. Open one. First off, they said they need 44,000 to 55,000 square feet. We don't have it. Every place that I looked at was there. Apartments is going up. And I'm talking about thousands of apartments or whatever. And then I sent back, I said, hey, well, can you consider a smaller version? No answer.
Yeah.
Everybody has the same perception.
Well, listen, I can promise this. If I'm elected mayor, I will make that a priority to figure out what the root cause is and who could actually come in and be there. Because I don't think this mayor's taking it seriously. I don't think he's out there talking to Publix or Aldi or whoever. I'm a businessman. I understand you have to generate the business for that store to be there. And if the business is there, there's no reason why a grocery store shouldn't be there.
It's definitely there. And I'm going to tell you, they don't have a security problem. I mean, they don't have a business problem. They have a security issue as far as making it where, I mean, if you have to put a security guard there, if you got to put a substation police station there just to feed the presence alone, whatever you need to do to feed it.
Make it work.
Once you cross Central Avenue and you go north, go 4th Street. Look at all those great grocery stores within proximity. That used to be
What
like
about the co-op that the city is sponsoring?
They're not going to be able to do that. They don't have the money, and then they don't even have the infrastructure to do it within that organization.
Well, I can promise that I would put the right people together, and that's a easy, not easy, but it's a solution that can be solved.
Where would you put it at? Off the top
I don't
of your
know.
head?
I don't know, because I want to move city services out of downtown.
Really?
That's a nice big building, nice piece of property that can be developed, and we could build a state-of-the-art facility somewhere centralized in St. Pete that's not downtown, that you don't have to pay for parking, and have money left over. Because the value of that building is more than the cost of a new building. Assuming you do it in a private sector. If you use government funding, that price triples.
Yeah, but we have a density problem in St. Petersburg. We have more people in a square mile than any other county in the state.
It's been like that since I was a kid.
Well, I want to say this, we're nearing the end, 30-minute show, and I'm always concerned about the time element.
Right.
I've just been given notice in 1 minute. With that 1 minute, I want to say thanks to Mr. Kevin Batdorf, mayoral candidate, for being with us today. Thanks for your responses. I want to thank Sid for being here, substituting for Jamie Wilson. And I want to thank Russ, my other co-host, for a job well done as always. And I want to thank you, the listeners, for tuning in to the Ray Tampa podcast, and ask that you continue doing so each and every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m., 99.1 FM, The Bird. And we ask that you please call the supervisor of elections office, and request your mail-in ballot. Time is of the essence. This is a critical matter. Please do it. And with all that being said, good evening.